for me, the epitome of Hazel work. Ayup Woodlanders, we're back in Walton-on-Trent in the Hazel Coppice. We've just got over the storm Darragh or something, Darragh, something like that. Got a GH on the end, so I don't know what sound that makes. Apparently half of Wales is without power, which is pretty grim. We've managed to get off pretty well unscathed, I think. No damage at home, which was kind of handy. I've not been up to our woodland yet to find out. Pretty fierce wind, I'll be honest. So it's the kind of wind that gusts at you and almost knocks you off your feet. So if you saw the last woodlog, we are doing exactly the same as last time from last week. Nothing particularly different. Stakes, beam poles and all that. And we're just going to keep moving that way. This morning's job is to finish bundling up. I've got a couple of bundles there, and then there's some cut stuff over there. I've got to do that, and once I've done that, put the chainsaw stuff back on again, and we'll start cutting again in that direction. We'll pop a time lapse on in a little bit of
Gotta get me words, that's mine. We'll put a time lapse on. Let's start again.
We'll put a little time lapse on, pop some music on, and we'll start this job. Today we've dived away from the coppice. Got a little splitting job on. Splitting hazel for a wattle panel in a Tudor house. This is what I would describe as for me, the epitome of hazel work. I wished in a way I could actually go and fit it. So what they're doing is restoring this old Tudor cottage. One of the panels in between the oak framework, where the wattle panels would have had lime render on, or lime plaster, and that would have stuck itself to the wattle panels. So they just want to replace it with another wattle as a feature for the two rooms. And for me, a hurdle maker's dream is to get away from making hurdles that I suppose in a way have only got a temporary lifespan, but to make a hurdle that's locked up in a building for potentially hundreds of years. If you know anybody that does ancient building restoration work and is in need of a hurdler like me, let me know, because I would love to do that. As much as I love making gates and hurdles, I would love the opportunity to work on a heritage building and know that some of our hazel and something that I've riven like this can go into an ancient building and live on and be appreciated by all those that dwell in it. That would be epic. If you've not seen me do this before, this is called riving hazel or splitting hazel, straight down the middle. Really simple traditional technique, and I did a whole video on how you can do it yourself. And Amy, if you're watching this, because I don't know whether Amy watches my videos or not, these rods are out of the dingle, and so you can know that your dingle rods are going to live on in a Tudor building and seek higher purpose. than just a traditional fence panel.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
Nice little job that. Just had a little gardening job this morning. Lilac tree came over in the storms. It didn't actually come over, but the root was coming out of the ground. So we decided to take that down, and then just got to peel this larch log for an order. Got to make another bird table. I did one a couple of 3 years ago, and someone spotted it and wanted me to make the same. Good afternoon. We're here in Walton again today. In about an hour, landowner Amy is hoping to pop up with a quad bike and try and get the rods out into the trailer, because it's become so wet now I can't get the trailer up all the way up by the road. We're accelerating towards the winter holidays, and I'm trying to get as much done as I can before everything shuts down and no one does anything for a week. I was sort of hoping I'd get all of this cut before that happens, but there's just no chance. I was hoping to be back into Rossiston at Jeff's by early January, but I think it's going to be more like mid-January, realistically. I've been crunching some numbers as well last couple of days, because I always seem to be running out of time, and I find that immensely frustrating. There we go. Every year it happens to me. Take on more and more and more. Run out of time. All the things I want to do and explore, I get no time at all. And it sort of gets to you in the end. There's some more hazel in here. Look, I cut this larch out the other day because that had fell over in the wind. In fact, the root plate's gone up, look, so I don't know if you can see in there, just there. That was actually lying down, but the root plate's obviously flicked back into place again. That's where you've got to watch out for with windblown trees. Very unpredictable. So what I've done, which is very unlike me because it's almost like a spreadsheet, and I'm not a spreadsheet person at all. I have worked out how many days I spend in the coppice, firewood, extracting, hazel making, hurdle making, and I've worked all this out based on how many work days I get in a year, and it turns out I've only really got about 1 or 2 days a month spare to do other work, which shows you normally I'm trying to squeeze in at least 1 day a week, if not more, and that's why I'm constantly running out of time. So there you go, 2025, we're going to hit it running, and we are going to be so much more efficient. Those might be my famous last words. Right, we've just got these bundles here to dress, and I've got a feeling just up there as well there's another stool, but I don't think there's much in it. To be fair, there's only a couple of weaving rods in that, there's not much else. There might be a beam pole in it. We'll get them done. It won't be far off time for Amy to come then, and we'll get some extraction done. Now that was brilliant. Amy's been up extracted a whole ruck of stuff with the quad bike, to the point where I've got rather a bulgy trailer, and all I've got to navigate now is hope that I can get out of the gateway and across this little bit of grass without burying a deep 4-wheel hole. Oh man, you guessed it, we got instantly stuck, so I've had to decant the trailer and then still couldn't get out. So I've just managed to get the truck out to that point. Now I've got to try and maul the trailer by hand up to the truck, and then I'm going to have to put the trailer on the truck and then get the truck and trailer out of the gateway and then handball all of that lot back in again. What a nightmare. That's all I need on a Friday afternoon. Today is Monday, and as you can tell, we got in just a little bit of a mess on Friday. It doesn't look that bad now, but Friday it took me 3 hours to get out of this. I will say though, in amongst the misery and the tears, I just bought this cheapo head torch thing that I wanted for the woodland so that I could get stuff out in our woodland in the winter when it's so dark at 4 o'clock. Well, I got that. That was an absolute lifesaver, that was. To be able to see where I'm going in the middle of nowhere, because let's face it, there's no street lights around here. I could see everything I was doing. The cars could see me because I got my little head torch on. It was great. I'll show you a little picture of that. It's not here to sell you one necessarily, but if you do get yourself a little head torch, they are brilliant. So not really much in the way of change this week. We can pop some fancy music on and you can watch me as I'm grafting away, and then I'll show you the end result once we get there. Well, we're rapidly losing light here. It's about 4 o'clock. The birds are going to sleep, which can mean only one thing, it's home time. Got a fair bit done. We started just round this corner. That's all bundled up ready. And then we've just got these rods here to sort out in the morning. And there's some round that bramble. But I know you can't see much. I'll be honest, I can't see a great deal either, so we'll see each other in the morning. Good morning. Just had to make a slight detour up to our woodland this morning. Got a little mini hazel panel to make, and I've been putting it off and putting it off simply because I'm trying to get other things done. It's like I can't put it off any longer. So we'll be back into the coppice in about an hour. 3 foot wide, 2 foot high, and we'll put the uprights in and then get it woven. That. There we go. All done. Back in Walton. I don't think I've mentioned this recently, but the next farm on, in fact the next woodland on, just from this one, is where I used to work. A place called Catton Hall. It's where I first did my forestry course and first sort of entry into farming life and working on a country estate. So they'd planted a lot of woodland like this, early tender scheme plantations as part of the National Forest Grant Scheme, and it was my job to principally look after those. And then in the summer months I'd be working on the farm, corn carting and just generally helping the farmers get the harvest in, that sort of stuff, which was, and still is the best job I've ever had. Fantastic place to work. The owner manager was just brilliant, so laid back, just a great bloke to work for. I did some really daft stuff when I was there, just did stuff without permission, did my own thing and thought I was clever, and I wasn't really. And he used to tell me off, but it wasn't really a telling off. It was funny, but I don't think for a minute he'll ever watch my little videos. But my apologies for running ahead of myself and not doing things with permission. And it's where I first had ideas about, well, wouldn't it be nice to manage Coppice? But I didn't really know how to do it because the forestry course I was on never really covered that at all. Coppice was seen as some sort of long-haired tree huggers thing that nobody did anymore. Forestry was the new way forward, and yeah, you live and learn, eh? And so I wished I'd done more of it at the time, but I didn't. I did cut some hazel down and hope it regrew, and it did. That's down by the roadside. Of course, that was 20 years ago. So a lot of the woodlands that are just sort of through that way, beyond all this lot, about a mile away that way, they were tender schemes that I particularly oversaw while I was there. So the whole tender scheme was put in by the manager, and then after that the planting, sorting out the planters, sorting out the plants, and actually doing the job itself was all me. So I spent the whole winter with 4 of the guys planting. And it's just really interesting when I drive past now to see what those trees look like, and it's just remarkable. At the end of this woodland there's a little spinney that I planted on my own, and that was when I was there. That one has actually been first thinned, and I think it's because there's an awful lot of ash in there and it's died, so they've took the ash out. If you've ever planted your own little woodland and watched it grow, I reckon it's got to be one of the most fulfilling things, besides having a daughter, that I've ever done. I think it's fantastic to know that you've planted something that basically as woodland, it'll be there for decades. That could just be woodland now for generations to come. I love it. Fantastic. Anyway, must press on. Today is Tuesday, and I thought I haven't done a Tooltip Tuesday for ages, but I thought I'd feature the humble bow saw today. This is a little, I think they're a 21-inch, these ones are. And I used to dismiss bow saws. I just think, man, doing horrible things. Well, these are twist and they get trapped, and and I think half the problem is when you get a naff blade. A blade is about £3 or £4, if that. You might even get 6 blades for like a 10 or something. And I started using bow saws with a brand new blade in several years ago, and I was blown away. So this is, I suppose, the tool tip, is don't get the one with the wet saw. This is the dry saw blade, and it's all to do with the teeth. These teeth are fairly uniform, whereas the dry saw blade's got these sort of big double teeth sticking up, and some people get on with them. I personally don't, because I think they just bite a little bit just too much. So I use the dry saw blade, and for the coppice work I do, fantastic. If you're felling trees with a bow saw, of course you might want something completely different, but there you go. Tool Tip Tuesday. You can get a bow saw for less than a tenner. I just think great value for money. Doesn't leave it matter It doesn't matter if you leave it in the woods overnight. Nobody really wants it anymore. And I like the 21-inch version because it just fits and easy to carry. It's not too gangly. Cuts the coppice well. And I haven't used it for a couple of years because I haven't needed to. But now I'm in more regular cycled coppice. It really comes in handy when you're cutting hedging stakes to length. There you go. Tooltip Tuesday. Let me know what you think. Well, that was the goal, to try and get all this area cut. We've managed it, and the time, sponsored by Accurist, is 3:45. We've got about 20 minutes of daylight. So, that, I think, is me done for today. So I'm going to go home, have a rest, cup of tea, have my tea, and we'll be back here again tomorrow. Morning. It's just a little bit windy today. They said it would be. Some good news as a result of your incredible generosity with regard to our tree project at the Woodland. We have got, I think last I looked, about £155 in the Buy Me a Coffee system for buying trees, which is great. So that's about 6 months worth of Buy Me a Coffees, and there's been loads of you just recently doing that. It's been amazing. So all of that, I've used all of that yesterday to buy me some hazel trees. The nursery that I wanted to use is called Ash Trees in Leeds. I've used them before. They use all UK seed, and they grow them in the UK. And they also grow them in little cell plugs as well, which makes them really easy to plant. And the cell plugs have got nutrients within them. It's like planting a mini pot, really. And they're great. They take really, really well. Far better than bare roots. They are a little bit more expensive. Sadly though, I've been waiting on them for 2 weeks. And they've been ever so good with us, but they cannot get plug plants. The squirrels and some other problems they've had, and they've sold out. So I can't get plug plant hazel. They've tried to get me some bare root from some nurseries that they know, unsuccessfully. So in the end I've managed to source another nursery in the UK that grows them, but they are bare root. So I've had to order those quick, because if the general theme is everyone's panicking about getting trees because of different challenges, then there could be a bit of a shortage this winter. So I've got some that I was given by Colin. He's very generously dug all his self-set trees out of his garden from his hazel tree, and his hazels are pretty good. They take quite nicely. And then they've got these from the nursery coming, and then after that, which will take me into the new year I think, is I should plant up with some other varieties of species. One request I had for some sweet chestnuts, so we'll plant some of those. I was going to plant some thuya. I want to try some lime, some tilia, small leaf lime, because we've got none of those in the woodland, and I want to try maybe a dozen to see how they take. And then another one I wanted to try was plane tree, see if I can get a dozen of them, and just mix it up a bit really, and just experiment with what takes, what does well. We've planted hornbeam before, that does okay. I have no particular use for hornbeam, and I'm sort of planting for the future on that, because hornbeam coppice is a thing, but it tends to be firewood really more than anything. So I just wanted to let you know on that, and to say another sincere thank you, because you've been very generous in giving us the money towards that. And although it doesn't cover all of it, it will cover at least 2/3 of the cost of the trees. And then when we come to plant them, I'll let you know how that's going, and probably mention it all over again. Not quite finished dressing all that lot, but we've made a significant dent in it, and Amy's just been up with a quad and loaded up all the stakes, all the beam poles, all the binders and a few weavers, and I've just mauled them into the trailer, which is great. So it's now about 3 o'clock, and I've got to drop off some stakes to Andy over at Lichfield, and also drop into the woods first, dispatch our load, sort out what I'm taking. So it'll be dark by the time I get home, and it'll be back here for another woodland adventures in the morning. Good morning. Boy, we had some rain the other night. Everything's a bit squishy up here. Friday today, and I just want to try and get the rest of these rods all dressed first and bundled up. I know that's complete then, and then it's moving on to the next little mini coupe. It's funny when I say mini coupe. Mini coupe was a car. So when I say mini coupe, it sort of reminds me of that. You know, that was pretty balmy. There's not many here. I reckon probably an hour and a half should have these bundled up and get them trackside. Totally stunning sunrise this morning. If I haven't already shared that with you, I'll do that now. Almost done. These rods anyway. It's fair to say 2024 has been a bit of an interesting year for us. If you're not up to speed with that, Karen is bipolar, and she had a relapse in summer with a bipolar. So she was in hospital for 3 months. Which has its impact on family life and things like that. But as always with these things, challenges come up in life, and you think, what have I learned from it? How can I move on? Has it made me stronger? That sort of stuff. So I sincerely hope for 2024 has been all of what you would hope for. And I also hope that as 2025 rolls around, that is also as good as you can make it, and more than anything, enjoy the woods. Right, to get these bundled up. But if you let me, I just want to say I really appreciate all of your support for this year. The kindness you've showed us, the generosity in buying trees for us. I've been a bit overwhelmed by how kind people can be. It's I shouldn't be surprised, but humanity can sometimes let you down, but you've been amazing, so thank you kindly for that. And also I got some gifts yesterday. So Jeff, who I cut his coppice for in Rossliston, he popped up with some year-end gifts, which was very, very generous. And I even have some brand new gloves. Now these aren't the brand new gloves yet. He felt sorry for me because my gloves have always got holes in. So he's bought me a box of gloves. It's just like, that's awesome. That's chuffed to bits. So thanks ever so much for the brand new gloves, and once we've worn these ones down, we'll break out the new gloves. So I hope you can stay along for 2025 and all of what that will bring. I have some ideas that I've had for a couple of years actually, not to change the channel in any way, but just to perhaps add to it in new dimensions in the woodlands. And I'm trying to modify my schedule at work so that it allows me even more time to be in the woodlands doing what I do, making and creating, and bringing you guys along for that. So don't hold your breath for that, because sometimes I make these promises and then life throws a spanner at you and you don't always get to fulfill your dreams. But I hope 2025 you get to fulfill all your dreams, and I also hope that you will stay along and join me and us on ours. So thanks ever so much for watching this particular woodlog. I'll see you in 2025 with some more woodland goodness and woodland adventures. So if you're able to, enjoy the woodlands this winter. Grab 2025 by the throat and do your best with it. I'll see you on the next one.